All right, let's talk about some negotiation. Real estate definitely has a lot of negotiation that's involved with it, especially for me. And I remember when I first got started, actually in life and business, I was a scared little wuss bag, to tell you the truth. I remember my first job I got out of college. Actually, Preston got me the job at Suncoast Equipment and Leasing Company. And I was going to offer businesses financing so they can go ahead and buy equipment. And I remember the first day that I got there, the guy hands me a yellow pages and says, start calling these people and let's get some business. I looked at him like he had 7 heads. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Here I am, fresh out of college. I'm a newbie. I don't even know what anything is. And needless to say, I did not last at that job. I was scared to death. I'd pick up the phone. I used to call him I used to call it pepper stations. Preston was in the same office. I mean, seriously, I was 20 years old, 50, probably 18 to 20 years old. And we used to go into his office. And I was like, I tried to get the nerve to be able to do these cold calls. And I go into his office and I say, hey, Preston, can let's do a pepper station. He started laughing and we'd sit there and make phone calls back and forth. And I was terrible. I was really terrible. And we tried to make a joke out of it to make it easy, but I ended up getting fired. The guy waited for me to get my stuff out of the desk, escorted me out of the building. It was really, really demoralizing. And I don't really want to ever talk about that again. So that was a little treat for you guys. But anyway, negotiation started really to evolve with me over time. Obviously, they call me the negotiating ninja. And the funny thing about it is half the time I don't even really realize what it is that I say. It comes natural to me, and it comes more natural when I'm actually in a situation that I have to negotiate. And it's a lot tougher talking about it. It's one of those things that you feel so confident, so comfortable when you're dealing with people that it comes across that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a few different things that I look at, that I do in my business that helps me out as far as negotiation, and maybe some tricks and some tools that you guys can utilize to help you get comfortable. I go through a lot of rapport training. Rapport training is definitely something. I think we actually have a full-blown video on rapport training. And it's definitely something that helps me with my negotiation. As I build rapport with somebody, and for those of you that are new, building rapport is just finding a commonality, finding a common ground that you can communicate with to make somebody feel like they're not getting sold, to make somebody feel like they're not getting taken advantage of. And that was a big thing for me as far as building rapport. So anytime that I was on the phone talking to somebody, well, let's bring it back all the way to when I first started. Instead of me kind of getting into the experience stuff, let's go back to when I first started. I put out a whole bunch of mailers, I put out bandit signs, and I started getting phone calls coming in. People were calling in to me. It was the first time in my life that I had people calling me instead of me calling them. Man, what a feeling that is. What a feeling that is. And if you guys have never experienced both sides of that stick there, definitely stay on this side. Get people to call you. It's 10 times easier when people are calling you than it is when you're calling them, because you have control. Control of the conversation is very, very key in negotiations. You always want to know, you always want to maintain that control. Even though you're listening to the other person, you want to maintain the control of the call. So when people called in, they would say, and almost every conversation that you're going to have is going to be very similar to this. Yes, I saw your ad, wherever your ad is placed. I saw your ad, I saw your advertisement, I saw your sign, I saw whatever the heck that you sent to them for them to call you. And I saw your ad. Do you buy houses? Yes, I do. Yes, ma'am. All right, let's just pretend it's a woman. I'm going to do even a little womanly voice, so don't laugh. All right. So, yes, do you buy houses? No, I can't do that. That's too fairy-like. I'm going to be a man. How about that? All right. Hey, yes, I just saw your ad in the paper. Do you buy houses? Yes, I do, sir. How can I help you out? Well, I have this house over here that I'm looking to sell. I said, oh, great. Well, you definitely came to the right place. Let me just get some quick information from you, and we'll be sure to help you out. And then he starts talking. He said, okay, well, the address is this, that, and the other. And I said, okay, great. And let me get your phone number. Okay, let me get your phone number. Okay, let me get, where did you hear about us? And I go through that whole top section of this lead sheet here. So I'm going through the owner on title, the contact person. And guys, if you have any problem doing this, you really just practice it to yourself. Just pretend you're talking to somebody. Yes, and remember, every phone call is going to start off with the same thing. Yes, do you guys buy houses? All right, he's calling you, so you have that control. He's calling you. You're going to go through this information here, and it's real simple. And your attitude is that there is an issue. There's a problem. There is something going on with this guy that he needs to sell his property, whatever his situation is. There's a bunch of different situations. You have situation as divorce. You have situation as eviction. Maybe he's a landlord and he's evicting his tenants. You have bankruptcies. You have people that have lost everything and they have to sell their house in order to liquidate. You have people that are in situations that have gambling debts. You have people that are in situations that are upside down in their mortgages, meaning that they owe more than they owe more on their property than the house is worth. You have people that are in situations from all walks of life. I mean, it's just, you think of it as like a real estate pawn shop. People come into a pawn shop because they need money and they need money quick. And it's up to us to make that person feel comfortable. And that's one of the big rules of negotiation. Well, here's two. So far we have attitude as far as controlling the conversation, making sure that you know that you're the big kahuna. You're the one that they're coming to, all right? So you have to have that stance, but you have that strong, it's just a strong feeling that you have. So when you're talking, raise up your voice a little bit. You know, feel strong. You know, sit up straight when you're talking on the phone. Just feel strong. Feel like, hey, what's up? This is my time. I'm the king of the hill. Nobody's going to knock me down, but don't do it in a cocky way. There's a difference between being cocky and there's a difference between being calm and comfortable with an attitude that you're the big kahuna, all right? That's just like that guy sitting at the, sitting behind the desk, the big guy that's all intimidating, okay? You want to have that presence, but you also want to be soft-spoken. You also want to be able to feel like you have a heart because people will relate to you when you're doing that. You always want to feel that way. So you have your attitude. That's very, very important. You have a lot of these different things that you need to come to the table with. And one of the ways that I was able to get up and running and start negotiating deals, now I don't even look at it. Like I said before earlier on in the training call, I don't even look at it as negotiation. I look at it as having conversations. And that's what I do. I have conversations with people. All right. I mirror them. We talked about that in the lead sheet training video. I mirror them. If I have a fast talker, I speak fast. If I have a slow talker, I speak slow. If I have an old lady, I speak very, very soft. I want to make sure that whoever's on the other line knows that I am the person that is going to take care of them. All right. If it's an old lady, I want her to feel like she's talking to her grandson. If it's a guy that's in a divorce, I want him to feel like he's talking to his best buddy that he played golf with in college. If I'm talking to a woman that her husband just left her, I want to sound like a marriage counselor. I'm trying to fit into whatever it is that these people need me to be because I want to calm them down. I want to let them know that I am here to help them out. All right. Now, with Freedom Soft, there's a lot of automation that goes on. There's a lot of just numbers, as far as sending out just sending out tons and tons and tons and tons of offers. And that works. It definitely does work. But there's going to be an element to your business at some point in time where you're going to have to talk to sellers. All right. You're going to talk to sellers and buyers. The better you get at talking to sellers and buyers, the easier this business gets. And that's when you start laughing. That's when you say, I have the best job in the world. And your friend says, well, what do? I just talk to people all day long. They call me and I talk to them. And then at the end of it, I end up making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. I mean, just think about that because that's the reality. You are the one that is going to create that reality for you. And that's the way that I feel. That's what I say when people say, hey, what do you do for a living? I got the best job in the world. What is it? I just talk to people all day long and I make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, how do you do that? Well, I just solve people's problems. I just make them feel comfortable and secure and they know that I'm going to be able to take care of them. That is actually what it is that I feel. I'm never scared to get on the phone anymore because I've taken a step back. I've taken a look at my business from the outside in and I say, what am I really trying to accomplish here? What do I do? Well, I buy and sell properties, but I buy and sell properties from people that are in situations that need to sell very quickly. I'll say that again. I buy and sell properties, but I buy and sell properties from people that are in situations, and I can't remember what I just said. People are in situations that they need help. I can't remember. I can't get it word for word. All right. So that's what I do. I step out, I look back in, and I say, okay, how can I make this very simple? How can I break this down to make it comfortable for me? How can I break it down so I'm not so concerned about what's going on, but I'm more concerned about what I need to accomplish on the phone? It's not about a house. It's not about It's not about making money in this point in time, even though that's the end result, but that's not really what it's all about. It's all about solving problems, and that's where the negotiation comes from. It's not like you're going to a car, it's not like you're going to a car dealership and you're going in there and you're haggling back and forth. That doesn't really work. I mean, you can get people to come down on price, but the reason that you're going to get them to come down on price is because you are validating, or you are allowing them to accept the fact that you're going to pay this and they need to go with you other than somebody else. And the way that I do that is simple. It's very, very simple. It takes a little while, guys. Don't think, and I don't want anybody to think that they can all of a sudden in 2 seconds be the Mr. Master Negotiator. It takes time. I was on the phone talking to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the first 6 months of my business, and I messed up tons. I totally messed up, but that's the only way that I learned, all right? There's a reason why you don't go from Little League to Major League Baseball. You have to learn. You have to get better. And when you make that commitment to yourself, that that's what you're going to do, you're going to end up at that end result. You're going to end up feeling comfortable. You're going to end up feeling confident when you're on the phone with these people. All right? So think about that. Do not expect everything overnight, because it doesn't happen. And if you do that, you're setting yourself up for failure. All right? So listen to what I say. Do not do that. You have to practice. You have to put the time in, as anything else. I mean, you're not going to become a doctor without going to medical school. Now, what we've done with FreedomSoft is we have given you the platform to cut the learning curve literally in half. And that's what we've done. We've put everything in a system to make it easy for you. All right. So now that you have that, yes, you're gonna cut the curve on everything that you need to do to become successful in a motivated seller business. And that's what this is. I'm a motivated seller business. I look for motivated sellers to buy and sell to buy houses from. All right, that's what this is. So getting back to the whole negotiation thing, that's what I do. I am just very, very calm on the phone. I let the person, I try to feel the person out. So I feel them out by understanding how fast they talk. I feel them out by their accent. I feel them out when I ask them the question, is there a particular reason you're looking to sell? You can say it another way. That's how I say it. Is there a particular reason you're looking to sell? And as soon as they start explaining something to me, it also allows me to read into it. I read into what it is that they're saying. They're basically giving me the information that I need to sell them. All right. It's the same thing as if I'm an attorney, right? An attorney goes, and I forget the word, arbitration or cross-examination or whatever it is. And he goes ahead and he talks to that person. He asks him certain questions, and based on his responses, he then turns around and uses those responses to do his job. Well, it's the same thing in real estate. It's the same thing in buying and selling properties. It's the same thing in anything. All right. It's letting that person speak. Everybody's always heard the thing. The first person to say the number is going to lose, right? First person to say the number is going to lose. So someone's going to say, hey, listen, what we offer for my house? I don't know. What are you looking to sell it for? Well, you called me. What are you looking to sell your house for? All right. That's how I handle it every single time. Sir, listen, and this is a very good combative little ninja tip that I do all the time. If somebody asks me, okay, tell me what you pay for the house. And I say, sir, Bill. All right, let's call him Bill. I say, hey, Bill, I'd love to do that. But, you sound like a really nice guy. I would hate for you to hang up on me. You don't know what I want to pay for the house. So why don't you just tell me what you're offering? Let me see if I can pay that number. All right. The first person to lose. But listen to the way that I turned around and said that. He says, tell me how much you want to pay. And I said, listen, I think you sound like a really nice guy. I would hate for you to hang up this phone on me if you found out how much I'd really want to pay for the house. Why don't you just tell me what it is that you want, and let me see if I can meet that number. Does that sound fair? All right. Do you see the way that I disarmed him? I disarmed him. Meanwhile, he's thinking, he's up, he's got his hands up in the air, he's ready to fight. And then all of a sudden I say that, and it's immediately he disarmed. All right. That's one trick right there. That happens. I do that all the time. Let's see if we can think of some other tricks. Guys, there is no script here either. This is just me sitting on a microphone. Actually, I'm in San Diego right now. I'm overlooking the ocean, and I'm just having a conversation with you. So if I happen to jump around here or there, I'm just trying to think in my head what it is that I do that makes me successful as far as talking to sellers. Let's see some other things. Let's look at some situations here that we've had as far as deals that I've done. All right, I remember one deal. It was a little while back, probably like 8 or 9 months ago. The guy sends me a letter in the mail saying that he wanted to sell his house. I had sent him a postcard. He sends me a letter back, and I go over to the guy's house. I start talking to him, and I can tell that the guy was in a situation where he needed money because he had no furniture. So as soon as I walked in, I was like, hey man, what's going on? You know, I act as a friend because he shook my hand. He had a smile on his face. So immediately he kind of showed me maybe what type of person he was. So I followed that lead. All right. I followed that lead. And I said, so what's going on here, man? How come you don't have any furniture in the house? He was like, oh, I had to sell everything. I had to sell my truck. I had to sell all these different things. Immediately, what am I finding out here now? I'm finding out this guy really needs money. Like, he needs money today. All right. So before I even get involved as far as telling him anything that has to do about the house or anything, and I said, listen, I'm glad that you contacted me, because based on this situation, there's a reason why I'm here is to help you. You see what I turned it away. I turned it away from the house, and now it's more about helping him because he had a situation. If you could think this, if you can think like this, and if you can analyze people and understand that that is the core root, is to try to help them out of their situation, you are going to be so much more successful. So back to the story. So I said, listen, there was a reason why I was sent here. I'm here to help you. Are you eating? How do you get to where you're getting? He was like, no, man, I just need to sell this place. I said, okay. I walked out to my car. I said, hey, do me a favor, follow me outside. I walked out to my car. I grabbed my wallet. Unfortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, I had like $20, $30, $40 in my wallet. I took out the money in my wallet. I handed it to him. And I said, listen, whether or not I buy your house or not, I want to help you out. So make sure that when I leave here today, just go get something to eat. You just look scared. I want to help you out. I'm going to be there for you. And he says, well, the reason why I can't sell my house is because my mom just died and the property's in probate. And I said, okay, well, let me handle that. What do you think the house is worth? He was like, I don't know, 60, 70 grand. I said, listen, how about I give you $50,000 for the property? Let's sign a contract now. Let me get working on it. All right. The house actually was worth a hell of a lot more money, but that wasn't, you have to look at it in two different ways. One thing is that guy needed help and I was there for a reason. Am I going to make money off of it? Yes, but it's not like we're profiting off of somebody else's misfortune. Don't ever think that, because that is not the case. We are providing a service. That's what it is. I remember when I first started, I used to think the same thing too. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm getting this for so cheap and the guy could have got more off of it. Well, what is that all about? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Look at the restaurants that you go to and they charge you $20 for a tuna sandwich. Are they feeling guilty? No, it's the fact of it is they're offering a service. So we offer a service too, and that's what we do is we help people out of situations. We help them move on. We help them start fresh. We give them money in their pocket when they need to sell. We release the stress that they have based on this situation that they're going through. All right, that's what it is that we do. All right, so remember that and always think about that, because that is exactly what it is. We help people, and once you focus on that, it's going to work. You guys are all probably sitting there saying, okay, yeah, I understand this whole thing about attitude, and I understand as far as we help people, but what about negotiation? Well, that is negotiation. That's what it is. Negotiation is basically finding a common ground. It's finding an understanding of what that person wants, and then you're going to go back and forth a little bit to see if you can find a median ground which works for you and which works for him. It's the same thing as a house that we had even on the reality show with the guy at Clifford Sample. He had so much aggravation. He had so much problems that he had from this house that he'd never wanted to go back there again. So I forget the numbers that he said. I don't know. He said he wanted 30 grand or $40,000 or something. And I came back and I said, okay, $40,000. How long have you owned this property? He said, and then his next question was, he laid it all out. His next question was, or his next answer was, I've paid for this property many times over. My response to that was, well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. What if I could get you in a place where you never had to come back here again? You never had to come back. You can still make some money on the deal and everything will be fine. And he ended up agreeing with it. He agreed with it because I found out what his true pain was. His true pain is that he hated this place. So what did I do? I said, well, if he hates this place so much, how can I word this in a way that might work? So what if I said, he don't have to come back here anymore? And it worked, all right? I wasn't scared to say that. I'm never scared to lose a deal. That's negotiating number one. I'm never scared to lose a deal, because if you're scared to lose a deal, they're gonna feel it. They're gonna hear it in your voice, and they're gonna know you're weak. You're so weak when you feel that way, and these people will not do business with you. You could talk to hundreds and hundreds of people. If you sound weak, people aren't going to deal with you. You're going to get lucky every now and then, because you're going to get somebody that just has to sell so bad, and you're the first person that they talk to, and that's it. But if they feel weakness, you're going to lose every single time. So do not ever be afraid to lose a deal. When you go in there, it's like, hey, I do what I have to do. I'm not scared. It's the same thing as playing poker. You guys have probably seen some of the negotiation tips that we had done at a previous time, and I relate everything to poker. It's like, hey, if I'm sitting there and I'm playing poker, I'm not scared to go all in. I'm not scared to play, because that's what it is. If I lose, I lose. There's no risk. What's the risk if I lose? Yeah, I lost the opportunity or the chance to make some money on that deal, but what did I gain? I gained the confidence. I gained the strength to be able to do this in a much higher fashion, in a much higher way. And that's something that has worked for me. And it took a little while to get there. Now when I'm on the phone with somebody, man, these are just simple conversations. And it comes down to price too. A lot of it comes down to price. But when you ask the right questions, when you ask the questions that we have set up on this lead sheet, when you ask them the way that we tell you to ask them, where you can go right here, look it down on the bottom. If I can offer you cash and pay all of your closing costs, what's the best that you can do? And as soon as they give you that number, the next thing I turn around and say, and it's not in here, we'll put it in here, are you sure that's the best? I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to ask him, and I'm not scared to ask him that question, because I've already built all my rapport. I've already talked to him, and a lot of the words that I'll use is, even going down to, I'm going to save that for another video. I'm going to go into a whole nother video where I'm going to go through all my one-liners as far as where I use them, because guys, that's all I use. I only have like 10, 15 different things that I use, and they work every time. Why am I going to go ahead and reinvent the wheel when I have stuff that works? So really in this, I just wanted to kind of talk about the philosophy, the philosophy behind negotiating, the philosophy behind communication, and have it sink in so you can understand what it is that we're trying to do. And once you get that epiphany, once you feel that, everything starts to make sense. I tell a lot of the students that we deal with and people that work in my office, I said, listen, you just have to feel like you're talking to a friend. You have to feel like, hey, this is my Aunt Susie who got a divorce and she needs to sell her house. Let me see what I can do. It's that type of an atmosphere. It's that type of a conversation. That's what happens. So the more that you think about this, if you could take 5 or 6 things out of this conversation, I would think that these would be the main ones. Number 1 is being comfortable and confident. Number 2 is understanding that you're not ever, that you have no fear. And the reason why you have no fear is because these people are coming to you in most cases. They're coming to you to help them out. You have no risk associated with anything. All right? So that's number 1. That's number 2. Number 3 is to make sure that your attitude matches their attitude, meaning that, or basically the mirroring, making sure that you are on a level in which they feel comfortable in communicating with you. All right? You don't really find too many people that talk slow that really have a good time talking to people that talk fast. That just doesn't work out. They feel intimidated. They feel overwhelmed. So I'm going to come down to that level. It's a very simple process. It's very, if you have a real wild and crazy guy, he likes to be, he likes to talk to a real wild and crazy other guy. That's just how it happens. That's just how everything happens. Look at your relationships and the people that you get along with the best. Most of the time, those people are very similar to you. It's because you guys communicate on that certain level. So that was either 3 or 4. I'm not even sure what point we're at. So you take some of these pieces here, and then you also take the piece as far as not being scared to lose a deal. And start doing this in all aspects of life. Start having conversations. Start, thinking about what it is that you want to accomplish on the phone with these people. And there's only a couple things that you need to accomplish. One is to get the information. We can't really do anything without the information. Let's get the information. Let's ask it the right way. Let's go through the lead sheet the way that it was intended to go through, to get the information in such a manner that allows us to start to cut them down and figure out where their positioning is. I was on a phone call yesterday. One of my partners said, hey, listen, we have to bring in this vendor. and this vendor wants a certain amount of money each month. Can you get on the phone with him and get him down? And I said, yeah, okay, give me his name. He goes, you know what? I'm actually just going to three-way him on the phone right now, and let's see what you can get him. He was at, I think we were paying somewhere between $1,800 or $1,900 a month for this vendor's services. And he says, see if you can get him down. Maybe it was like $1,500. See if you can get him down. So immediately I got on the phone. And I'm going to close with this because I think this is a good story so you can kind of see what's going on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the one-liners that are really get you set up for objections and different things that people have. So I call, he three-ways me in. And I said, hey, how you doing? This is Pete. I said, I've heard a lot about you. The guy's last name was King. And I said, I don't think I've, what did I say yesterday? Oh, man. Now I'm going to get stumped on what I said. Hold on. He answers the phone, put him on three-way. My partner told me what his name was. So immediately, I now remember, he told me what his name was. The guy's last name was King. So immediately what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to break the ice because I want to feel what the flexibility of this guy is, and I want to get him in a good mood. I want to get him in the mood that I think that he needs to be in order to let me know what type of flexibility he has. So he says to me, hey, Pete, your partner's told me a lot about you. And I said, yeah, he better tell you a lot about me because I'm the one that writes the checks. All right. So immediately what I told him I told him who's in charge. He knew I was in charge, right? Because I said, I'm the one that writes the checks. And I said, you know what? I said, he's told me a lot about you and I'm really excited. Especially anybody that's got the word King in their name, I feel pleased that I should be talking to you. Boom. All of a sudden he's laughing. Now I'm talking to him. And I says, okay, why don't you explain to me what you guys are offering and what the pricing is? So he went through his whole thing. And I said, do you deal with a lot of investors? And he says, you know what? We really don't. We deal with a lot of banks and mortgage companies and different people like that. And I says, well, listen, I says, us being investors, I'm always looking for a long-term relationship. And I'm thinking that if you guys can work with us, we can work with you. Why don't you look at us as if we're kind of like a beta user for your services? If you can do that, I think that we can go ahead and we can get on the same common ground and we can make something happen. So all of a sudden I says, just do me a favor. I said, I don't want to waste your time. I know you're a busy guy. I don't want you to waste mine because I'm busy also. Give me your best price. What is the best price that you can give me? He says $1,199. The guy came down $300 right from there, right? Because now I kind of prefaced what it is that I wanted, and this is going back and forth, a little bit. And he says $1,199, $1,200. So I says, okay, listen, how about this? How about we do a 3-month trial? You guys are confident in your services, right? And he says, oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that you're confident too, but you know what? I want to test it out. Why don't you go ahead and let's set up a test drive environment where I'll be able to use your services for 90 days. The first month, I'm willing to pay $700. The second month, I'm willing to pay $800. And the third month, I'm willing to pay $900. If we're certain after that third month and you guys are able to perform on your side and we perform on our side, I'll pay your price. All right? And boom, all of a sudden the guy says, I think that we can get that happening. I mean, it was to a situation where we were able to save, from $1,400 down to $700, $800, and $900. So that's $700 the first month, $600 the second month, and $500 the third month. So that's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money. That's money in my pocket. But the only reason I was able to get there was because I was able to find out where this guy was. I was able to find out his flexibility. I was able to get him in a good mood. And then I was able to propose something to him that it was almost like me telling him what he was going to do. Now, yeah, he could have said no. He could have said absolutely not. But you don't lose for trying. You don't lose for asking for a property that much lower. And when someone says they want 40 grand and you say, okay, is that the best that you can do? Well, I don't know. And as soon as they say, well, I don't know, boom, I know that I have room. Because they would say no. If someone knows exactly what they want to sell the property for, and I say, hey, what's the best you could do? 40 grand. Is that the best you could do? Yes, that's the best I can do. Now I'm saying, okay, this person doesn't seem as flexible. Somebody says, boom, I know I have some stuff there. At that point in time, what I would do is I would say, okay, let's go ahead and set up that contract for $40,000. Let me come take a look at the property. And once I get to the property, I'd knock the price down. I'd say, listen, based on the information that you told me on the phone, I don't know if I could pay this amount. There's a lot more repairs that are going on because I already knew they were flexible. But what do I want to do? I want to lock it down on the phone first. And now that I know that they're flexible, by the time that I get out there, I'm going to say, okay, well, listen, I understand that we said 40 grand on the phone, but you know, there's a few other things here. You know, the bathrooms need to be updated, the cabinets need to be cleaned. I kind of thought that this is in a lot better shape. What I think I can do 36. You know, I have good news and bad news. I always use the old good news and bad news thing. So I have good news and bad news. Good news is I definitely think we're going to be able to get this deal done. Bad news in, based on these repairs, the most I can pay is 33. Right? I'm there. I'm in front of her now. She's already spoke to me twice. I mean, that's what it's all about, guys. It's not anything difficult. It's just being comfortable, and it's practicing. You have to practice. The more you practice, the better you'll get, and the better you get, the more fun you'll have, and the more fun you'll have, the better your life is going to be. The better your life is going to be, the more you can help other people out, and that's what true freedom is all about. It's having one hand up in the sky as someone's picking you up, and there's having one down on the floor where you're bringing somebody up to the level that you're at. You guys can do it. I know you can. Hopefully this stuff helps. Make sure you check out the one-liner video where I'll go through all different scenarios as far as how to ask questions and where to ask them.